Alright guys, this is Chaos here, back to you guys with another video. And in this video, I'm going to be finishing, this is going to be a part 3, as a sequel to part 2. And for the rest of this story, it's just going to be basically about my crazy landlord that I had to deal with during the time that I was working or living there. Ever since I moved in. So on June the 4th, 2025, at approximately 11 o'clock p.m., I was working. I don't think it was 11 o'clock. I think it was like 6, 7, 8 o'clock p.m. I think it was like around 7:25 p.m. I started to gather my stuff. My uncle and his wife and kids decided to move to another city called Eagle River. So they've been staying there for about, they just moved over there and they stayed there since then. And after got accused of a lot of things that I didn't do and vice versa, I ended up moving up my stuff, called an Uber, got my stuff, got everything set up with the landlord lady, that I was moving into her house. She had approximately 8 rooms. And I'm thinking, okay, this is great. Finally getting out of here. I finally got something that I can use. She has internet. That's also a plus. All I got to do is pay this every month. I'm great. That is great. And that will tide me over until I can get enough money in my pocket. So I ended up taking an Uber to her home. And I moved all of my stuff out of her car, right? And after I did that, I was already settled in. And the HR Uber was getting impatient because she had to go too. So I started staying there, and she started saying stuff about how she needed a $200 deposit. She didn't specify if that's like the same time around as when I get paid. It was kind of confusing. And her explaining it didn't make any sense to me either. So the roommate came out and told me that she was a liar and a scammer. I'm thinking, really? That's crazy. He also showed me messages of how she harassed him and started talking, and it was ridiculous. So as I stayed with her, I just sit there and listen to her talk all the time. So she'll talk and talk and talk. And then when it gets to a point, she just, it'll be like already late. And she's still talking. I guess she's quite the chatterbox. She likes to talk a lot. She talks about a whole bunch of nothing really, because she talks about relationships, people on drugs, and how she's trying to hook her friend up, and it was just ridiculous. Anyway, so one particular day, I was working a seasonal job with Securitas, which is the security company I was working for, and I told them the days that I was available. But as usual, they couldn't find the days that I was available, so I was working flex. Until hopefully they found something that I can do. And I don't want to do anything night shift due to the fact that I don't want to have to pay for Uber to get back. But I'm so tired. But so I ended up working or looking for jobs that I could work that would, also make up the hours that I didn't get from my other job. Because when I was working for security, I spent more money showing up to the job than I was making more money from the job. And it was ridiculous. It was like in reverse. So when I started working there, the breakdown. What ended up happening is I told her my situation, but I never told her that anything other than, that I didn't want her to know. And as time goes by, she started sending me a text. It was like a long 3-page text message telling me, that I have to, not only was I was paying rent, but she was trying to get me to pay to help contribute to the house of getting some paper towels, or we're running out of paper towels, or if we're running out of paper napkins or toilet paper or cleaning products. She was expecting us to take our money to help her get those, but the fact that she has 8 people living in her home, she has a lot of money. She could have went and did that herself. So it didn't make no sense for everybody else to invest in cleaning products when that's something she could have did herself. Then on top of that, she guys, I'm so sorry. But anyway, I'm so tired. So then she made a statement saying that if you have to do a chore. If you don't do a chore, that's $25. I'm like, we shouldn't have to do any of those things. If we're paying you rent, we shouldn't have to do any of those things. Yeah, I do think that people should clean up behind themselves. If you're living there, then yeah, you do have to clean up behind yourselves. But charging somebody $25 just because they don't want to do a chore, that's a waste of time. So then on to washing clothes and dryer. She don't use it anymore, which if you're not going to use it, you might as well just give it up. So what she's doing is, now we used to wash and dry our clothes at her place, but she charges, but according to the text messages that she sent me during the times I was living there, she said I had to, if I'm doing a longer wash, I have to pay $10. If I'm doing a short wash, I have to pay $5, which it makes all of these really unnecessary rules doesn't make any sense. Because if I'm walking back and forth to the bank every month to give you money because you don't want to do any digital transfer to make it convenient for your roommates so they're not like busting their asses trying to go here and go there and trying to get this and trying to get that, she's just trying to make everything convenient and all about her, right? So then I spoke with her about the situation going on with my job, and it was a seasonal job. She suggested that I can work for her. And I said, okay, I'll work for you, I said, well, what do I have to lose? So I did that. She wanted me to vacuum the floor. She wanted me to make her some coffee, and it's been a while since I made old-fashioned coffee. So she kind of got an attitude about it a little bit, showing me how to make coffee and stuff, as if like I don't understand how to do anything. And I just didn't like her attitude towards me, right? So then she got to where she had me vacuuming her house, that did the stairs and everything. Um, so then we kept getting in the car. We went to a few places. I helped her with her security check. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so we went to a grocery store because she gave me a whole bunch of money a bunch of money to get it processed through money order, and so that's what I did. I did the money order for her, made sure it had the receipt and a separate envelope. So I was very professional and very neat about it. Not because I'm working for her, it's because, I treat people the way I wanted to be treated. And the way I do things in a professional, appropriate manner, right? So, helped her out with that. She was saying that she was expecting me to just take the money and run off with it, which, you know, considering the fact that she's been such an asshole towards me, it wouldn't be such a good idea. But at the same time, that's bad karma on me too, because I'm walking off with somebody else's money. So if somebody, so people like that, I try to treat them with kindness. I try to, respect them, even though they treat me like garbage. But so as the time goes on, I was working with her. One particular day, she sent me, her son obviously called off from work because his arm, he had to go to the hospital because, due to his arm was not in good top condition to work, not in good condition. So he had to go get it checked out. So basically, um, she sent me into the internet company store. It's called, the internet company they have here is GCI, and it's a little bit different. But I went in, and she told me what to do. I went in there. I can't remember, but they asked me a question. The store clerk asked me a question, that I wasn't familiar with, and it was dealing with the money. And so I called the landlord, just to get some information from her, just to confirm what's going on. She got upset. She got upset for some odd reason. So I'm thinking, what is going on? And then, she got on the phone and started talking and nonsense and stuff. And the store clerk was like, hey, do not yell at me, do not do this. And he was like, I'm not trying to say anything. So I'm thinking, okay. So she dropped her son off after her son came in and helped me with the internet situation, because I had no idea what I was doing. I called and I asked questions because I didn't want to mess anything up. So, I wasn't very sure. And they said that, other people that have an issue didn't have an issue apparently paying for it. And I'm thinking, well, that's them. But I'm not from here. I don't know how your bills, how you pay. What she should have did is took me inside and showed me how it works. She's saying that there's a particular person that, that she goes to all the time that knows how to do that. And I'm thinking, okay, but then at the same time, it's like, you should have showed me how to do it instead of just telling me. Because I learned through visual, I don't learn through, but she didn't really look at it that way. And on top of that, I'm not even from here. People tell me about a whole bunch of places here, but I don't have time to discover all these because I have to work, eat, and sleep, and get up and do it all over again. So then, after she dropped her son off from, to go home because, apparently he's going to go get some rest or whatever. So she turned around and called me a fuck up But before that, when I left out the internet office, the internet facility, uh, she looked at me and said that I was on her shit list, right? And I'm thinking, what did I do? So then she turns around and calls me a fuck up. Now, what type of person would call somebody that and insult somebody like that? That's disrespectful. So apparently, she must have grown up. This landlord must have grown up in a broken home, and she probably just wasn't really didn't grow up around people that actually taught her how to respect other people. Obviously, and that's pretty much obviously. So, pretty much after that, her and I went to Target, and we went to Target, and she wanted me to help out with a few items that she needed for the rooms because she was expecting some customers or other roommates to come in. And so I helped out. She told me to get the lowest price of whatever they have, and I did just that. I looked at the price, and I even asked one of the store clerks, "Hey, is this at a how much is this?" Put that one back. We kind of been trading and switching some stuff out. So keep in mind, I'm actually working for this lady just to pay off the rent, and she took my situation, made light of it, telling me that I didn't have no choice but to work for her, or she was going to throw me out on the streets. Which, you don't joke about something like that, but she did joke about that, and that was red flag number. The other time when she was reading my palm, she was like some kind of palm reader. I'm like, I've never seen anybody do that before. It was weird to me, and I thought it was a red flag. So the red flag number 2 is when she called me a fuck up and then went around, and that was red flag number 2. So red flag number 3 is when while we was at the store, we was at Target, so we went into the junk food section and the snack section. She put a few bags of chips that she wanted, I guess, in the basket, but then she took one bag of chips in particular. She opened it up. She started eating chips around the store that she didn't even pay for. I'm not making this up. I was actually surprised. I'm like, why are you doing this? This is the landlord we're talking about that's doing this. It is insane, right? So then, and I'm just glad I didn't get arrested or anything, because I done took an 18-hour flight to come all the way here for a job that I didn't get, which made me come all the way up here for nothing, only to be put in these type of situations, right? So when we got to the checkout, as she was walking around and all of this stuff, and I was just ready to get this done and go back to the house. I didn't really care about anything else. So at the time, only thing that was on my mind is I was just trying to find something part-time so that I'll have some income coming in. So basically, I tried to, when I was trying to look for jobs in other places as me and her were traveling along. And then we got back in. She wanted me to take the microwave out of the room that I was in and then give it to another roommate when we had a microwave already in the room that she had me cleaning out, and I could have gave that to her, So she was just all over the place. Like, she would move furniture all over the place, upstairs, downstairs, in the room, out of the room. It was like clockwork. And I'm just like, that furniture and everything else gets too heavy. Why are you guys moving stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning? So then, I managed to get a job at Wendy's. So I had some money coming in, right? And when I had money coming in, paid my rent as usual. And I was paying half of the rent at the time because I was only getting paid every 2 weeks. So whatever money that I had to kind of conserve that to get groceries. Not to mention, that there are times I have to get a ride somewhere. And if I don't have enough money to get to where I need to go, then that means I can't go to work, right? So basically, okay, so basically after that, finally found a job, started working. I gave her a VR headset that I was no longer using. A coworker that I used to work at Walmart with, he gave it to me as a gift. I didn't ask him to buy me anything, and I appreciated that, but it's like I'm not going to be using that for anything else. So I took that and I gave it to her to sell it. She had it sitting up there. The landlord had it sitting there in the gateway for a while, right? As you guys can tell, I'm so tired. Tired of the drama that I'm going through. So, during my time staying here, there were times I would overhear her talk about me, saying that I was broke, after she's been having me spend a lot of money on her to pay bills and stuff. And that's the thing that this landlord does, is she'll have people to spend money, and then when a certain amount of people are not paying their rent, she'll text me as if like I'm supposed to pay for everybody else because they didn't pay their rent. And then she'll sit there and I don't know. She talks about a lot of people behind their backs, and it's just ridiculous. So moving on. So days went by. I was cooking stuff. The landlord texted me, say, "Hey, what are you cooking?" I had complaints that you were cooking something and it smells bad, and some people said it messes up their stomach. So I'm thinking, how is it messing up their stomach? I had some hamburger meat that I cooked, and I'm gonna tell you guys about that hamburger meat. Like the hamburger meat, like the August steak hamburger meat that is already freshly cut and already freshly a meat patty. Don't buy those, because those, they get raw and they get expired overnight. So if you guys go to the grocery store, just keep that in mind. So pretty much from there, I kind of been staying off to myself because I didn't want to get involved with her or any of the other stuff that she has going on. And so what ended up now happening is, after staying, I kept hearing a lot of thumping and a lot of fumbling upstairs. And before I even explain that, so basically I was sitting around, walking around, talking to her. So she heard music. You know how, like, when you're living in a neighborhood and you got music playing really loud and everybody is like, just passing through, right? But they got their music playing and they're just in the zone, like, just having a good time, right? So she freaked out. Apparently somebody parked in her residence, and she took her gun out and literally was about to have a shootout. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have got to get the hell out of this place. This lady has literally gone insane. So then she was trying to sell the house, told me that the house wouldn't sell for 2 years, for I don't know, whatever reasons. So she was trying to sell the house, and she told me they told her that the house was trash. I don't know. I don't think they said it bluntly like that, but I'm sure that they just pretty much just basically wasn't really what they were looking for. And then she her and I started talking because she had a roommate that's from Jamaica. She was staying in the house for I don't know for how long, and she was getting free rent. Like, she wasn't even paying nothing. She saved up like a lot of money, but she went into my room because I invited her into my room, and I treated her like a guest because we were all roommates. And come to find out, like, I had 2 Nintendo Switch systems. I had a Galaxy. It was a Galaxy color, and the other one was like a mid. It was more like a mid jade blue color, right? And I knew that they were missing because one day I wanted to play some of the older games that I miss, especially some of the older Pokemon games, and come to find out my game systems were missing. So because my gaming systems was missing, I still got the game cartridges and even the charger, but I didn't have the systems, which was weird. So anyway, one night there was a fight that went on upstairs, and I just got off from work because I got off at like 12 a.m. because I was still employed as of right now with my security job. And just when I was about to lay down, a police officer came in and started investigating the house and everything. And one of them came into the room that I was staying in, shined a flashlight in my face, and asked me if I knew someone named Curtis. You know anyone named Curtis? I'm just thinking, no, I don't know anybody by that name. I don't really, take time to get to know other roommates, because I'm pretty sure roommates are not trying to get to know each other. They're just trying to survive, pretty much. And the thing is with the landlord, she likes to hook people up. She likes to hook people up with different people and stuff, and telling me, oh, you need this type of chick. And I just told her, like, I'm not really into relationships right now. And I told her that I prefer to stay single, and I'm not trying to get with nobody right now. I'm just here to focusing on my money, trying to get myself together, get myself back on my own 2 feet. I don't got time for no females and drama and all this other stuff. So I told her that I prefer to be single. So then her and the friends of hers were talking, and she made a statement saying that they were concluding that I'm gay because I chose to stay single, which she kind of left out the fact that, that I hope it ain't true, but anyway, let's just forget about it. So I hope so far throughout this story that everything is making sense so far. It is just, if I'm all over the place, I do apologize. It is just a fling as I continue to go through these situations. And all of this got started because my mother paid so much money to ensure that I take a flight to get here, to get a job that I didn't get. Now I'm working a job that I not only that I don't like, but also I'm dealing with my crazy landlord and all of the people that she brings into her home. So I had a talk with her, and she was talking about like a whole bunch of random stuff. But one of the things that she talked about was, if you bring a visitor, you have to pay her $25. So, and if you, and she was trying to stop another roommate because she was telling me that the other roommate was bringing guys home with her, and then, back and forth and back and forth. And she was telling her not to do that or whatever. I don't know. But she told me that she told her that you only can deal with the men that are in the house, not outside. And I'm just like, why are you telling this lady, this roommate, what she can and what she can't do? And the thing is, it's like, it's funny how you have an old lady that's living a miserable life trying to give advice to other people, yet she goes behind closed doors and talks about people like a dog, telling them, saying that they're broke, just writing them off as, oh, you're broke, after she done hustled them out of all their money, needless to say, probably nearly half of their savings. It's just ridiculous to me that, she gives advice to other people and she don't even follow her own advice most of the time. So then that happened, and then she told me that the guy came back and apologized and offered her I think 20 grand, and she turned it down. And I'm just like, you're an idiot for turning that down, because if somebody offered me some money like that, I would take it. There is no way. So now she's hurting, and because several other roommates are not paying their rent, it's like, okay, it just feels like sometimes, like, you ever feel like sometimes when people are texting you, when it's time to collect money, they only talk to you, but they don't talk to everybody else? She even asked me, she said, hey, if you know somebody, then, just ask. If you don't know, like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm all over the place. So, basically, what I'm trying to say is, what I'm really trying to say is, she's giving people advice, but she's not following her own advice. She's in a position right now that she needs to get herself together before she can give anybody else advice. That's what I'm saying. And she's not doing that. And then she's talking about, because there are times I sit in a room with her, she'll talk about like some friends of hers that died a long time ago, or, that had rich husbands, and that one of them died, and she tried to tell them to, stay with him and don't let him go. But it's like, here's the thing. You cannot expect, I'm going to tell you this right now. You can't give advice to people and expect them to go with it, especially for females. And she should know that better, and the landlord should have known that better than anybody. You can't give women advice. They don't care about other people's 2 senses and what you have to say. They'll hear you out, but they're going to do what they want to do. But what she's really trying to do is pinpoint on the men. I'm like, the men are always doing everything right. So I probably have to do this video another time because I'm falling asleep. As you guys can tell, I am so tired. Ever since I came back to the U.S., I have dealt with a lot of stress. The job that I work is taking up a lot of my energy. I am so tired. I am like legit tired. And it's just, there are times where she offered me to go hang out with her friends, and I'm like, I don't want to hang out with your friends. Anyway, so um, she had a lot of roommates that left. One of the roommates told me that, there's just too much fights going on. Drug addicts are coming in, and you don't even, a lot of good stuff going on upstairs. And I think he moved to Wasilla, so I can't really blame him, because staying here just ain't worth it. You got all these random people coming in. And then she even told me, she said, hey, if you know somebody that's looking for a place to stay, to bring them there. I am not doing that. Compared to the experience that I had, and the fact that she insulted me and called me a fuck up, and along with some other stuff that she did, what makes you think that I'm just going to tell somebody about your place and where you live at? And then, half of the people here are crazy and cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in their head. Even tried to talk about getting me to live in a garage for 6 months. Yeah, she was like, we need to try to get you in the garage for 6 months so you can get free rent and free place to live. Yeah, I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up. And she, even when I told her about my situation, she was like, I'm just figuring it out because, you seem like a really nice guy, and blah, blah, blah. I said, well, it ain't nothing to figure out. Rather if I'm a nice guy or not. When you get treated like, it's like I was explaining to her, and it was a straightforward explanation. And she just made it seem like it was rocket science. I'm like, when you get treated like garbage when it comes to family, family doesn't care. Not all families, but there are some families out there that don't care about their kids. They don't care about the child that they birthed into the world. They go out there and, they got fathers that don't really want to tend to their child, especially mine, because mine don't want nothing to do with me. And I'm the only son he got, the only offspring that he has in this world. And he don't want nothing to do with me. So, fast forward through this story, most of all, she was an extorter. I came to learn exactly what the other roommate in the past told me when I first moved in, is she is an extorter and a scammer. And she'll start dramas. She'll say anything that's convenient for her, she gonna take it. Because, that is just ridiculous. And then when I came up there during the Thanksgiving holidays, she introduced me to everybody, and introduced me to her friend. And her friend just looked at me like I was just asking her for her social security number or something. So I politely said hello to everybody. And there are times when I listen in and I listen to her talk about different races of people, and I guess different races of people that live into her home and stuff like that. She's always talking about somebody. She always got everybody else's names in her mouth, because she's just a miserable old woman that her husband moved out on her because he didn't like the idea that her son was in the same house as him. So he packed his stuff and he left. But it was a dumb decision on his part, because if you don't want to waste money on another man's seed, then, you shouldn't have married her in the first place. And she's trying to sell the house, which is never going to sell because nobody wants a house like that. Especially when you have a lot of people living in that house. The plumbing is consistently messing up, and now people can't even, it's getting so bad to the point where people can't even fix the bathroom. So in the bathrooms downstairs, there's one upstairs and downstairs. It's an upstairs, downstairs house, right? And the house has over 8 people. And what I found out is she has roommates downstairs. They dirty up that bathroom, that toilet all the time. They do not clean up behind themselves. Now, oftentimes, I'll go in and clean the toilet and all of that stuff, but they do not clean the toilet. She has a whole bunch of rocks on her stairs. None of that got swept off yet because winter is already over with. And she's always texting random people, trying to see what she can get out of people, wanting to know if she can get the money that she wants to get. She's just always doing something. She talks too much. And then she sent me a text message, telling me, oh, you need to stay away from this guy because he was very rude to me and my friend. And I'm just like, okay, what did he do? Well, he kind of judged everybody and he was not very nice about it. And I was like, well, that's not my problem. Bad. And then she sat around and she just acts so oblivious as to why is she going through what she's going through. And I'm like, that's bad karma. Because the thing is, when you treat somebody wrong, it's bad karma. Yeah, it's bad karma. And it's just the way that she's been treating me. And the fact that she's talking to me any kind of way, saying disrespectful stuff. People don't stop and think before they do things anymore. They don't. That's what I was taught when I was a kid. I was taught that. So since then, I've been staying with her. There are times she'll look out the window and she'll be up creeping around at 1 a.m. in the morning. And then there was one time I was hanging out with 2 roommates and in the car, and we were just talking about a random stuff, We were just talking about random stuff. And she wanted to know what was being said in the car and all of this stuff. And I'm like, we're talking about nothing but guy stuff. And then she thinks that because there's a bunch of people in the car that people are going to overthrow her, they're going to do this and do that. She's the type that she thinks the whole world is going to come out to get her just because she sees that people are plotting or whatever they're doing. It was ridiculous. You couldn't even talk in the house without her jumping into conversations. She came and sat with me and 2 roommates because I told them about the whole issue with my Nintendo 3DSs being gone. Somebody stole them. And she was just sitting up there. Yeah, she was just sitting up there saying that she was going to help her son with the windows. But you're sitting with us talking for a whole bunch of times. And then when we got up and left, she talking about, well, I don't tolerate that disrespect. And then she gets mad at me because I didn't stand up and take care of her. I'm not standing up and taking up for nobody because I know if I was in that situation, no one would stand up for me. And the fact that she called me a fuck up and insulted me, what makes you think I'm doing anything for you? And I'm going to tell you, this lady has disrespected me, insulted me, said a bunch of stuff to me during the time that I was there. Just like she told me to go to Walmart to go get some other stuff, some paint, some sort of paint that she needed. And I saw the price up there, and I even looked on my phone and it had the same price. And she even bitched about that. They're gonna tell me to do my job. I'm like, I am doing my job. You need to do your job and making sure that I get the right stuff. If I send you pictures, you pay attention to the goddamn pictures and let me know if this the right stuff or not. Just like she had me going in to go pick out something, right? So I took pictures of what kind of butter and what else did she get, because I don't know what she gets, right? And I wanted to make sure I'm getting the right stuff. You know, she gonna tell me, oh, it doesn't matter. It's whatever you want to pick. No, this is your money. This is not my money. I'm the one up here shopping for you. So you need to tell me what items that you're getting. We're not gonna go through this. It doesn't matter. It's what you want. No. It's either you want this or you don't want it. Oh yeah, she treated me like shit when I first got there. And I'm just getting started. And she even told me that if, I think I said this already. She told me if I'm looking for somebody that needed to move in or somewhere to stay, to let her know, I'm not letting her know shit. I'm not going up here talking to these ladies and run the risk of getting pepper sprayed. I've already got reported from this job. I used to work as a security guard at this place that you see behind me, which is the mall here in Alaska, because some stupid retard in Zoomies reported me and accused me of harassment. And all I was doing was just going to different stores, and I was just talking to different managers so I know who is who. I'm not just always asking all the time, you know, where do you work at? Where do you work at? Where do you work at? Because I'm pretty sure people get tired of that, and they're used to letting people just pass by, you know. And she even put, and this is another story another time, but anyway, so back to the landlord situation. So I'm just like, well, I'm not going to tell nobody anything, because why would I need to tell everybody else to come stay at your place and you treating me like shit? You bringing all these random people in, then stuff happening to you. Then she told me she was about to take a gun and she was about to shoot the guy that was acting buck wild. And I'm just thinking, okay, if the man don't want to go in his room, he don't want to go into his room. Why are y'all sitting up here messing with that man like that? Telling him to go to his room. If he want to sit there you sit up all night creeping around thinking that something is going to come out and get you. And she's very paranoid too. Very paranoid. So I'm just thinking to myself, like, you know, if you are looking for somebody, and I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I think the Lord, I'm not trying to be religious or anything, but I think God in heaven has really held me back, because I would have went off on this lady. Some of the bullshit that she does, I would have went off on her. And I'm going to tell you, she is, and this is just ridiculous. Like, she only thinks about herself, but then she tries to dress it up like she cares about everybody else. And, you know, and this person's name, her name is Kathy. I don't know her last name. People call her Catherine, people call her Kat, whatever. And I'm telling you, if you guys live in Alaska, I'm pretty sure in Alaska there are other housing programs that can help, especially if you are making a certain amount of income, that can help you out. You know, because I have done some research, and there are some affordable, I wouldn't say they're affordable, but I will say that there are some programs in place that will help people, but it mostly help people who are homeless, don't have anything, or for people who have kids or they handicap or whatever the case may be, right? You know, don't ever go to a place where people are just scapping you for money. Me, I really couldn't find anything else. I didn't know where to look because I'm in a whole nother state. And I even asked if they knew anybody that's looking for a roommate. Haven't really got no response. So I did try. The only reason I chose her because I couldn't find anywhere else. But if I found somewhere else that's better, I would be leaving, going there. So that's the kind. So let's do a recap. So she has these ridiculous rules saying that if you have a friend over, you get to pay $25. If you don't do a chore, you have to pay $25. She uses this deposit thing as a way to hustle you out of more money, while at the same time you have to pay or to contribute buying toilet paper, buying other stuff that they need, which, if everybody's paying you rent, we shouldn't have to pay for toilet paper or contributing or doing any of those other things. You got 8 people living in your house, or I don't know how many people, but as far as I know, it's 8 people living in your house. You should be able to have money to pay your rent and to buy stuff that's needed for the house. If you're running a business, that's your job to do that. That's not our job to buy toilet paper and to buy all this other stuff. Especially if we're paying you rent. So my thing is she should reduce the rent, and then we'll start buying some stuff that you need. You can't have both. And she likes to have her cake and eat it too. It don't work like that. And she is just a miserable, terrified, just lady. Like, her husband walked out on her because she didn't want to deal with her son living in the same roof. She didn't want to support him or anything else. Only thing she cares about is money. She don't care about if she gets treated like shit. She don't really care about anything else. As long as he got money, that's all she cares about. It's more to life than money. Money cannot buy somebody's feelings, and money cannot buy somebody else's heart. Money cannot pay into money cannot pay into someone into getting you to like you. So then one day I went to work. Oh, let's go back over the rules. Over these ridiculous rules that's ridiculous. And all of this is a bunch of scams so she can get every bit of money out of her workers. But I didn't pay none of that shit. I'm like, I'm paying you rent. I'm not paying no $5 or $10 just to wash my clothes. I'm paying you. If you getting rent money, we shouldn't have to pay all of that. But that's what she's doing. And the roommate that told me that she was a liar and a scammer, he was right. I don't know where he is right now, but he was spot on when he told me that. Because why would you? That's like me. Okay, look at this, guys. Just hear me out. I'm tired. I know I've been dozing off throughout this video, and I do apologize for that. I'm just tired. I'm dealing with the stress of my landlord throwing insults, saying whatever she wants to say. And just because I'm sitting there and I'm quiet, that doesn't mean that I'm okay with all of this. Then she tried, before I even get into that, she tried to I don't know why she keeps doing this. After I done told her over and over and over, I don't want to be in another room. I'm not trying to go from this room to that room. I'm not trying to jump ship and go all over the place. I'm tired of that. Moving is a lot of energy. Moving is tiring. You ever had to help your parents move furniture and stuff out of the house? Then y'all gotta move right back into a whole nother new home? That's tiring. And I wasn't gonna do that. So basically, she knocked on the door one day because I was getting ready to take the trash out. I was trying to, take the trash out so I could go back to what I was doing. And she gave me she said she came in, she was like, come here. And I'm just like, okay, what's going on? Hey, so this room is really nice. You got, you know, some more room to spread out. You know, why don't you come in here? And I was like, nah, I'm good. I mean, I got this room. I'm not really doing too much. I'm just on the computer, you know, or playing video games. That's all I'm doing. I don't need anything, you know, that big. I mean, I'm doing my homework. I do my homework online because I'm still a college student, you know. So she made a statement. She was like, you know, I notice every time when people offer you something that you don't take it. Why is it? And before I even had a chance to answer that question, you know how people try to throw out these throughout these random answers? They're like, oh, is it because there's strings attached? Well, there's no string attached here. She was a damn lie. I looked at her in her face. I'm like, yeah, you full of shit. Yeah, you right. It ain't no damn string attached to it. Everything people, I'm going to tell you something, guys. Everything that people do is always going to be a string attached to it. It's always going to be a string attached to it. Anything that a person does, always going to have some string attached to it. It doesn't matter who you are. It is always going to have some string attached to it. I don't give a damn who you are. So I just told her, like, I'm just simply just I'm okay for where I'm at. She trying to do whatever she can to pull me out of that room. I don't know why. It just doesn't make any sense. I'm not trying to get some high overpriced room that you have whatever set up. Because the reason she was doing that, because I was paying her half. I was paying her $350 because I was having a hard time and I was trying to catch up, you know, stack up my money financially, and I was trying to catch back up. And that's what I was trying to do. And it was difficult for me. So I had to pay half just to kind of split the rent up. And I didn't mind going back getting the second half, right? And usually she never really texts me every time when it's trying to get some money, but it was just tired. You know. And then not to mention I paid her my whole paycheck to cover for I paid her my whole paycheck to cover for the rent that was in February. So now I just already paid her to cover for March. So now, you know, I'm gonna start paying full because I ain't finna be doing no half and half anymore. Then she texted me telling me that it's not working out for her, you know. And the only reason it ain't working out for her, it ain't because the money I'm giving her is not working out for her. It's just more of, so a lot of these roommates are starting to move out, right? And I'm trying to get out too. I'm trying to find somewhere else to stay. I can't find nowhere else to stay right now. I'm still searching. But when I do, I'm getting the hell up out of here. So, anyway, back to the example I was going to give in this video. So basically, you know, all of these rules saying you got to pay $25 if you don't do a chore. You have to pay $5 if you're doing a short wash when you're washing your clothes. Then there's $10 if you're doing a longer wash. She's just extorting. That's what she's doing. Then she's coming up with this whole deposit mess, you know, saying, oh, you got to pay me $200. Okay, if you needed the money, just say that. Now, I'm going to ask you guys a question in this video. When you're renting a room out from somebody, do you have to pay a deposit? Or do you do that when you're buying a 1-bedroom apartment or a 1 or 2 bedroom house? Let me know down in the comments below. I mean, I may not be an expert on real estate, but I do know the basics. And if you're getting a house, yes, you do got to pay a deposit. If you're getting an apartment, yes, you do have to pay a deposit. You have to put something down on it to get it. But if you're just renting a room, that somebody in a house that somebody already stays in and they're already paying the bills, you shouldn't have to pay no deposit. Especially if you got 8 roommates that are living in your house. That's like me selling a PlayStation 5 console and telling you, that's like you going to the pawn shop and you sell a PlayStation 5 and that store clerk tell you that this PlayStation 5 is going to be $600, but you got to pay me a $200 deposit to put on the PlayStation 5 for reinsurance. Does that make any damn sense? When you are selling something at a price that you are expecting to get for monthly, that's the price that you get. That's the price that you set. You don't do deposits. That's only for people that are buying a house or an apartment. And you see, she uses that to scam people out of all their money. She's a scalper, but she's really extorting more money out of people. And then when they are broke and they can't afford or life happens, she'll sit up there in the living room and talk about everybody else, telling them how broke they are and how they can't do this and can't do that. I got the fucking recordings. Around here telling young dudes that they don't deserve a pretty woman, that they need to get with a ugly or an unattractive female, which I don't really give a shit about relationships, but that seemed to be the only thing that she ever talks about. She'll talk about, if she ain't talking about relationships, she'll sit there for like a whole hour and 10 minutes talking about drugs and somebody doing heroin or cocaine or whatever. I'm like, why are you telling me this shit? I don't give a damn about how many drugs they do. And I'm gonna tell you, she'll sit there and talk to you for a good, from 2 to approximately 4 hours and 10 minutes about a bunch of bullshit that you yourself don't even give a shit about. This is ridiculous. And she does that with every roommate that comes in. Because every roommate are not smart enough to look at the fact that, okay, why am I paying this? Why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? That's what they do. They do this shit she does this shit all the damn time. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I just been kind of staying out of sight. I just stayed to myself because it's just no point in being around somebody that all they do is talk about people all the time. They keep up drama. They want to talk about relationships and drugs and all of this stuff. Nobody really talks about nothing that's productive anymore. Nobody talks about investing or how many shares you're going to get or what your plan is between now and the next 5 or 10 years of your life. Nobody talks like that anymore. All they talk about is a lot of stuff in everyday life. Most of the people just floating through life, trying to, putting all their eggs into one basket. They're not trying to exploit other incomes or other opportunities. They just so content. So she sits up there and she talks all the time, to a lot of people. And for some reason, she's always putting her name in her mouth. She'll sit up there and talk about everybody. Then when they get up and leave, then she ain't gonna, if she didn't even get the house to sell last year, she ain't gonna get to sell this year. And what would that be? That'll make it probably, she said, for 2 years. I'm thinking it's more than 2 years. That house ain't gonna sell, and plus the housing market ain't doing too well either. The job market is not doing too well, and More importantly, you got a lot of TSA people. Airports are gonna close down. That ain't doing too good either. The housing market is not doing too well, and the job market is not doing too well. I work a job right now, and I can't stand that job. But I'm keeping it till I find something, if there is something available. From what I found out in Alaska, there's a lot of job freezes. The only job that ain't freezing is restaurant jobs, but even the fast food restaurant jobs are starting to be a little selective of who they want to work now. Soon Walmart is gonna be next. Yeah, the people tell you they always hiring, but they gonna soon be next. So this is kind of the craziness that I have to deal with the crazy landlord. With Kathy. I have to deal with that all the time, man. And her name is Kathy, and I have to deal with that. And so what I do is I pay my bills and I stay out of sight, because I don't want to be a part of whatever she got going on. She just she's always saying stuff. She thinks that people just abandoning her, or they just trying to fuck her over and all of this stuff. She always think that way. But it's all in her head. Then she caused 2 roommates to leave over the fact that so there's this guy that she really didn't like. His name is Xander, right? She didn't even like the dude, because we were all sitting at the living room, because I'm trying to explain to the other 2 roommates about Xander and another roommate about the whole situation and about my Nintendo 3DS gaming systems that was being stolen out of my room, right? And so Kathy sits there, and she sits there just talking and everything, and then she starts being a little ignorant and starts throwing my business out there and everything. And I'm just glad that I had a peace of mind, because I would have cussed her ass out after all the stuff that she done to me. But I try to treat people with kindness, because the best part about it is people thinking when they treating you like shit, and they think that they're gonna get away with it. Bad karma always kicks them in the butt. And I'm telling you, with her, bad karma is working day in and day out on her, wearing her ass out. And that's why she going through the hell that she's going through. But yet she's acting like she don't know why she's going through it. You know why you going through all of this hell. You know why you going through it. You know why. And so as I was standing there, at first I was talking to this other guy. His name is Perone. And I was talking to him about like what was going on. We were sitting at the table, and I couldn't even have a conversation, because she was always chiming in, trying to talk about this and that, and he was assuming and she was assuming, oh, well, you just need to take risks and don't be afraid. And I'm just like, yeah, but how do you know that I'm afraid of taking risks? I done took a risk and lost everything and took an 18-hour flight to come up here for a job that I didn't fucking get. So how is it that you just look at me and be like, oh, well, you need to learn to take risks? I done took a lot of damn risks in my lifetime. Just because I ain't take the risks of the way that you think I should take a risk. And then he asked me questions, and I give him a simple answer, but it's like not the answer that he's looking for. I'm like, look, dude, I don't know what answer you're looking at, but that's my answer. So you gonna take it or leave it. Fuck the damn military. The military ain't for everybody. Some people want to join the military because that's just something that they want to do. But that ain't something that I want to do. Fuck the damn military. So then it got to the point where it was like, Okay. And so so Kathy was talking about how this is the landlord, and she said she was gonna help her son with the window because apparently they put in window replacements installments. So the whole entire time that she was supposed to be helping her son, she was over here hanging out with us. I'm looking at her like, you're supposed to be helping your son out, so why are you over here talking with us? So then she made a statement to Xander saying that she gave, because she's always trying to play matchmaking. She's always trying to hook people up with somebody and all of this stuff. She likes, the thing is with Kathy, she likes drama and mayhem. She likes ruining people's lives, and she likes to drain you out of all your money. And people like her in this world, they are happy to see you fall. They are happy to see you not doing so well and going without. They are very happy with that. That's their kick. That's what they get high off of. That's what they get their kicks out of. And I told you, none of these landlords really give a shit about nobody except what they want. And if, America is like a place where if one American cannot get what they want, he or she, then they will stab the next person just to get the other person to whatever they want. So they can say, hey, I got this and this is what I did to get it. When actually what they did is they just robbed the other person to get what they wanted to get because the other person had it, and for some reason they wanted so bad that they was willing to go to a desperate measure just to do it. So Xander checked her and told her, do not give out my number to anybody. If she wants to talk to me, then she needs to come and talk to me. And I like that about Xander. Like, he ain't got time for no bullshit. If she wants to talk to me, if she really has, basically, let me just translate this. What he's saying basically is, if she likes me and really wants to get to know me, she can talk to me herself. There's no reason for you to be giving out my number to her. Which is the mistake that she did. And she knew that that was her mistake. So instead of her owning up to it, she gets behind Perone and she starts talking to him, which is another roommate. Then she'll try to talk to him, say, I don't appreciate that disrespect. It ain't that he was disrespecting you. The way he checked you because you gave out his personal information. And you don't, as a landlord, you don't do shit like that. You don't try to be hooking people up with somebody else. Let them decide who they want to be with. You don't try to, and she likes drama and mayhem, and she likes to control people. Let people choose who they want to be with. Stop trying to match them up with, unless there's somebody ask you, hey, if you know somebody that you could hook me up with, do this and do that, okay, fine. That's a whole different conversation. But if you trying to hook people up and you doing all this extra shit and ain't nobody tell you to do it and you giving out their personal information like that, that's a fuck up on your part. Because you're a landlord. You don't give out information like that. If you claiming to run a business. But don't be running a business and trying to hook somebody else up with somebody else. Because she tried to do that shit with me. Telling me to go date that overgrown, fat, attitude, stupid ass looking woman. What was her name? Leona? Was it? I don't like her like that. I don't like none of these damn chicks like that. It's too much pressure on me. I gotta be a millionaire. I gotta do all of that shit. Fuck all of that shit. Fuck these damn women in America. I ain't trying to date nobody here. I can go to another country and go get me somebody. And you know what she said about other countries when I told her that there's better choices in other countries? She talked shit about Asian countries and told them, oh, well, that's because their women over there are being controlled and they don't have any freedom. Okay, but How would you know that? You're talking to somebody that's been to a couple of countries before. So how would you know they being controlled and don't have any freedom? You ain't never been outside of the United States. So how could you know? You ain't never experienced being in another country other than Canada. She ain't been to Canada, but I'm just putting it out there because Canada is kind of everybody's go-to place. I don't give a shit about Canada. There's some prejudiced ass folks up there too, just like up here in Alaska. But see, Alaska is a melting pot full of racist and prejudiced people. Instead of them talking to you about something, they're not going to talk to you. They're just going to report you to the highest bidder and then get you devastated and destroyed. And it's really ridiculous. You know, you talk to people got the brain size of a peanut. You know, they're all full of shit. That's why I tell you, in this world, it is you versus them. You don't trust, nobody can be trusted. And if they offer you something, it's always going to be a string attached to it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if somebody say, hey, you want a piece of gum? That shit is going to have that is going to have some strings attached to it. And I'm going to tell you this right now. I'm really getting tired of Kathy and the stuff that she does. And I'm pretty sure the stories that she got to tell me, like she had some guy here telling me that he was walking around with a knife and all of this stuff. I don't know. She'd be telling me weird stories about native people here in Alaska. They beat their wives, they kill their wives, and they get drunk and they kill their wives and they do all sorts of crazy shit. That's what I heard. But I think everybody in this damn state is crazy as fuck. I had ran into dealing, and I did a YouTube short about this. I had ran into a lunatic. This man is sit up here dancing on the bus while the bus is moving. I did a YouTube short on it. I think it's on Chaos Matrix. Go check it out. Go check it out. Y'all got some crazy, I don't know what y'all do here in Alaska, but y'all got some crazy motherfuckers here in Alaska. Y'all are some crazy fucks. Not to mention, y'all are some prejudiced, racist motherfuckers up here. And I mean that. Not because I had the wildest experience here, but staying in Alaska has taught me a lot about y'all. Y'all are some heartless monsters, some racist and prejudiced ass motherfuckers. And it's a melting pot full of you. Anchorage is like the poorest city in Alaska. Then you go to the nicest cities, you got a bunch of, I was on the phone one day talking to a friend. You know, he was having a hard time, his girl broke up with him. You know, I could sympathize with him because, you know, the dating scene in America is trash. The women here are trash, entitled, and all they care about is your money and whatever you got. Anytime when a female asks you what type of work you do, they want to know how much money you make. They don't give a shit about your character or what you at or who you are. You know, they're very picky as fuck. But he had a bad he was going through a bad relationship. His girlfriend cheated on him, I think, or broke up, whatever. I think his girlfriend cheated on him. And I was just in the middle of nowhere, and I was just sympathizing with him because I know how it feels. I mean, I talked to some ladies and, you know, been in a relationship, but the relationships I was in is more of, I'm just a guy that just passed the time until they find somebody else, and then they dump the other guy that they're with. So I'm just one of those kind of guys that they use for it. But somebody called the police on me in Eagle River. And the police told me that, well, we was about to arrest you, but we were just at first trying to do a um, a wellness check because they said that you were throwing your hands like you were boxing or whatever you were doing. I'm like, I'm on the phone with a friend of mine, and then I was about to head back into the cafe, because it was a heated, it wasn't really a heated, it was just a moment conversation that I was having. I'm telling you, these people are prejudiced as fuck up here. You can't do shit up here. You can't talk to these people up here, especially if you're a black man. I got treated like shit. And I go get treated like shit on my damn job too. It's crazy up here. If you're not white, if you're not Asian, if you're a black man and you're coming up here, just be prepared to be treated like shit. As I told you that this video is about my crazy landlord, Kathy. And she treated me like shit ever since I started going there. Now I'm finding out from roommates that she's been talking about me, putting my business out there on display. And she thinks she's supposed to get something good out of that. That's why she catching hell right now. And as long as she keep putting her name in my mouth and doing other stuff and saying stuff about me that she ain't supposed to be talking about, bad karma is going to continue to kick her in the ass. So I'm just kind of done with it. I'm not going to put up with this shit no more. I already got a flight, ticket, trying to get enough money so I can buy me a return ticket because I'm going to the Philippines after my graduation, because I'm graduating this year because I'm still in school, but I also enrolled into the bachelor's degree program with the same school. My major's in information technology and networking, and what I'm specializing in is in cloud computing. I'm an A honor roll student, GPA 4.0. And I also got a request to sign up for the national, I think it NLS, membership program for students who had a GPA over 3.9, 3.3 or higher. A national honor student, and it comes with perks, and it's a once in a lifetime payment. I just don't have the money to get it right now, but when that time comes, I'm gonna invest into it. Leave something behind, something that people can know me for. I've worked my ass off. I done went through a lot in my life, and for me to be going through this much hell in Alaska, there has to be some kind of blessing. There has to be some sort of reward on the opposite side of the tunnel. It has to be. It can't just be me going through things just for the sheer hell of it, of going through it for nothing. It has to be. It has to be a reward, because I can't keep going through this shit forever. Alright guys, this is my story about my crazy landlord, part 3. I'm sorry, I hope that this can be eye-opening. If you guys are staying with a landlord like that, get the hell out if you can. Alright guys, be back with another episode, and I'll see you later.